Jai Hind, Namaste viewers. Welcome to the sixth episode of Elections Simplified. In the last episode, we saw how caste impacts voting decisions of people and how different groups have differently backed political parties over the years. If you've seen the episode, a big thank you. If you haven't, please do watch. The link is in the description of the video. Now, who will win 2024 elections? This would also depend, apart from caste, upon the voting pattern of the various socio-economic classes. Now, the socio-economic class is essentially based on the income, and the voting population can be divided into four buckets. The first is poor class, the second is lower class, the third is middle class, and the fourth is rich class. The class-based politics has given a tadka to the caste-based politics, and this has complicated matters for both political parties, leaders, and commentators. Now, India, since its independence, has seen skewed development between the rural and the urban India. The poor generally reside largely in the rural India, while the middle and the rich class reside in the urban India. While today India is the fifth largest economy, it ranks dismally low at 128th position in terms of per capita income. Now, this has resulted in a high level of inequality in the society, with the per capita income of urban India double than that of the rural India. This has been a source of simmering unease, with political parties exploiting it over the years, and this has also affected the voting patterns. Now, Indira Gandhi gave the slogan of Garibi Hatao in her 1971 election campaign. In 2004, Congress party's slogan was Congress ka haath aam aadmi ke saath. This Independence Day, Arvind Kejriwal has coined the slogan Garib ko Ameer banana hai, while Narendra Modi regularly talks of Garib Kalyan. Now, what is the population of these four classes: poor, lower, middle, and rich? As per CSDS National Election Studies, 30% of the population belongs to the poor class, 34% to the lower class, 22% to the middle class, and 14% to the rich class. Now, there is a lot of debate on what is the middle class population of India. CSDS NES says 22%. Now, according to another classification, which is as per the NSSO, 15% of the households are destitutes with income less than 1.25 lakhs a year. They can be classified as poor. 52% of our households are aspirers, which are earning anywhere between 1.25 to rupees 5 lakhs, and these can be classified as the lower class. 30% of the people are middle class or belong to the middle class, earning between 5 to 30 lakhs per annum, and only 4% are rich, earning more than 30 lakh rupees. Now, as we see, under both the classifications, the CSDS and the NSSO, the poor and the lower class accounts for roughly 2/3 or 2/3 of the population, and the middle and the rich class combined 1/3 or 1/3 of the population. Now, the needs, wants, desires, demands, issues of the poor, the middle class, the rich class is very different. The poor today in India are still grappling with the basic needs of food, shelter and clothing, health and education. Schemes like free ration distribution, PM Awas Yojana, Ayushman Bharat, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, PM Ujjwala Yojana, etc. are aimed at the upliftment of the poor. They aspire to join the middle class. On the other hand, the middle and the rich class is not largely driven by ideology, but by aspiration. They desire a reduced role of the state in the economy and a greater role of the private sector, of stock markets touching new heights, world-class infrastructure, and a stronger image of India globally. Now, let's look at the voting pattern of the poor class. The poor, irked by the India Shining campaign of the BJP and lured by the Congress ka haath Aam Aadmi ke saath campaign of the Congress party, voted for the Congress in large numbers compared to the BJP. The Congress had a lead of around 9%, as shown in the graph on the screen. This gap widened to 11% in favor of the Congress party in 2009 when it retained power due to pro-poor schemes like Food Security Act, Narega, and farm loan waivers. However, in 2014, in Narendra Modi's era, high inflation levels of 8 to 10% under Manmohan Singh's second tenure prompted more poor to back the BJP. So the BJP enjoyed a lead of 4% compared to the Congress in 2014. In 2019, riding on the pro-poor schemes as we've mentioned above, the BJP received 36% support from the poor class, which is double that of the Congress. The others also got less than 50% support of the poor class for the first time in the last 4 elections. Now, let's compare the lower class voting with the poor class voting. Now, the lower class, which accounts for an income between 1.25 to rupees 5 lakhs, exhibits a similar voting pattern to the poor socioeconomic class. The support for the BJP has grown amongst the lower socioeconomic class from 20% in 2004 to 36% in 2019 on the back of pro-poor schemes and its Labharti or the beneficiary model. During the same period, the support for Congress has declined from 25% in 2004 to 21% in 2019, but this drop is not as sharp as we've seen in the poor class voters. The decline here is merely 4%, whereas the decline amongst the poor class of voters was 10%. Now, let's see the voting pattern of the middle class. Now, the middle class has, to recall, an income anywhere between 5 to 30 lakhs. They are believed to be traditional supporters of the BJP because of its pro-market policies. In 2004, when BJP lost shockingly despite India's shining campaign, it polled roughly similar support from the middle class, 29% for the BJP versus 30% for the Congress. In 2009, this gap widened to 10% when more middle class people backed the party in power, which is the Congress. Now in 2014, riding on the popularity of Narendra Modi, BJP reversed this gap and the middle class voter sort of made a ghar wapsi and the BJP led against the Congress by 12 percentage points. BJP received 32% middle class support, bolstered by the investment business friendly image of Narendra Modi and its famed Gujarat model. This lead against the Congress widened to 17% in 2019 on the back of tax relief measures, record high stock markets, the Balakot airstrike, and a boost in the image of India globally in Modi's first term. The support for the BJP amongst the middle class, as we can see in the graph on the screen, has doubled from 19% in 2009 to 38% in 2019. Now let's look at the voting pattern of the rich class, which is people earning anywhere above 30 lakhs per annum of income. Now this exhibits a pattern which is similar to the middle class. They are also believed to be traditional supporters of the BJP. Even in 2004, when BJP lost to Congress-led UPA, 30% of the rich class backed the BJP, 5% more than the Congress. The BJP was leading against the Congress only amongst the rich class in 2004, and that was also perhaps a reason for its loss because the population of the rich is fairly low at around 4%. In 2009, the rich backed the Congress party and the Congress gained an upper hand because the rich normally back the party in power. Now in 2014 and 2019, 38% and 44% of the rich class backed the BJP on account of favorable investment policies, record high stock markets, perceived increase in value of Indian passports, they are the people who are frequently traveling abroad, and India's growing stature under Modi. The others have lost, the others meaning the regional parties and independents have lost significant rich class support, roughly 9% during this period. The Congress has not lost much support, I would say. It's just around 5% from 25% in 2004 to 20% in 2019. Now let's look at the turnout or the voting percentage of the various blocks or the various socio-economic classes. The turnout, as we know, impacts the election outcomes. Now friends, it's a general perception that the poor vote in large numbers than the middle and the rich. We've seen how in urban centers like Delhi, Bangalore and Mumbai, the urban voter does not come out to vote in larger numbers and the voter turnout is very low. In 2009, the middle class turnout was the highest, contrary to perception. At an all India level, the poor and the lower class voted in larger numbers than the rich, as shown in the graph. Since the population of the lower and the poor class is also fairly high, 2/3 versus 1/3, it has a double impact on the vote share of the party which they normally support. Now cut to 2019, the turnout of the middle and the rich class was higher than the poor and the lower classes. The advent of social media has increased their interest in politics and elections, which seem to have somewhat reduced the urban voter apathy. Now, as in the earlier episode where we saw how or who are the voters of the BJP and the Congress caste-wise, we'll now see who are the voters of the BJP and the Congress socio-economic class-wise. Now let's look up at the build-up of the vote shares of both the parties. The BJP got around 37% vote share in 2019. 11% came from the poor class, 12% from the lower socio-economic class, 8% from the middle and 6% from the rich class. Now let's see who's voting for the BJP. 30% of its voters came from the poor class, 32% from the lower class, 22% from the middle class and 16% from the rich class in 2019. Now when we compare this to 2004 and see how the vote base of BJP has changed, now we see that more poor and lower class voters are voting for the BJP due to schemes and lesser middle and rich class voters are voting for the BJP in terms of the composition of the BJP's vote base. Now let's look at the vote base of the Congress party. The Congress party got around 20% vote share in 2019. Now the 5% came from the poor class, 7% from lower, 5% from middle and 3% from the rich class. 25% of the voters of the Congress party come from the poor socioeconomic class, 35% from lower socioeconomic class, 25% from middle and 15% from the rich class in 2019. Now, unlike the BJP, there is no material change in the composition of the INC voters. The poor and the lower socioeconomic class voters comprised about 61% of the voter base of Congress in 2004, and this has remained at almost similar 60% levels in 2019. Similarly, the voter base of the middle and the rich class, which was 39% in 2004, has remained almost flat at 40% in 2019. Now let's look at the intersection of the caste and class. The complex interplay between the caste and the class makes the elections interesting and very, very difficult to predict. Do all the poor vote in the same manner, or is their preference impacted by their caste, community or religious group they belong to? And which factor, caste or class, plays a bigger role, identity politics or socio-economic condition? Now let's look at the voting pattern of various caste groups among the poor class of voters. Here we see that 49% upper caste, 46% OBCs, 44% scheduled tribe amongst the poors voted for BJP, and this is higher than the number of SCs 34% and Muslims 8% which voted for the BJP. For the Congress, 27% STs and around 30% Muslims amongst the poor are voting in high numbers compared to other caste groups. Now, this pattern is almost similar across various classes. Even amongst the lower socioeconomic class, an exactly similar trend is visible. More upper caste OBCs and STs vote in higher numbers for the BJP than SCs and Muslims, while for the Congress, the ST and the Muslim community is voting in larger numbers than the upper caste OBC and other caste groups. Similar trend is visible again in the middle class, where the upper caste OBCs and STs are voting for the BJP in higher numbers, while the SCs and the Muslims are voting for the Congress in higher numbers comparatively to other caste groups. And again, the same voting trend is visible amongst the rich class. So now, who will win 2024? And what are the issues which are facing the various socio-economic classes? Economic issues could impact the voting pattern of various socio-economic classes. Inflation, unemployment, poverty, and agri-distress are likely the issues which are going to impact the poor and the lower class. Whereas, on the other hand, nationalism, success of G20 summit, India becoming third largest economy by 2027 are the issues which could impact the voting pattern of the middle and the rich class. The economy is emerging as a pain point for the BJP as per the India Today See Voter Mood of the Nation survey carried out in August, which shows that the BJP tally could fall from 303 to 287 if the elections are held today. In this era of identity politics, which is the most important factor for a voter? His or her caste or his or her socio-economic status? Or are there any other issues which could dominate the voting behavior? We will see this in further episodes. This brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you if you have been watching, and do share your valuable feedback and comments.